Kind of
All right,
volunteer.
Taylor, thank you.
Taylor. All right, Taylor, I saw your hand up.
Well-
Otherwise, Chelsea, I'll have to pick.
Hi, everyone. It's wonderful to meet all of you and see everyone as close to in person as we can. I am a assistant professor at Gannon University, and I'm actually in St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm a certified and licensed athletic trainer. And if you're not familiar with that, that's actually a healthcare provider that's in sports medicine. I've worked at the collegiate and high school level, and one of my favorite settings to work in was actually a private physician's office, and I worked in clinical wellness where I got to teach yoga and do injury evaluation and rehabilitation. In addition to that, I'm a corrective exercise specialist, a 200-hour registered yoga instructor, American Heart Association BLS instructor, and I think that's it. But so I wanted to do a little bit of my presentation similar to Carol's background. I wanted to talk a little bit about our segment on exercise and how it relates to Alzheimer's and Alzheimer's prevention. So one of the first things I wanted to address is why we did want to bring up exercise. The importance of physical exercise has been cited even since 400 BC, right? So we learned in our presentation that Plato actually cited exercise in addition to John F. Kennedy and Thomas Jefferson. So the good news is at any point in time, we always can delay the onset of aging, and what comes with it is, the principle of if you don't use it, you lose it. Whether that's for our physical muscles, that also applies to our brain, which is really exciting, and it's really a great way to motivate your clients and individuals that you're working with. So one of the concepts that we recently have been studying and realizing in medicine is the concept of neurogenesis. Now, with neurogenesis, this is the process of creating new brain cells, especially in the brain as it relates to the hippocampus. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we continue in this discussion. But originally, even as few as 10 years ago, common nomenclature, layman's terms and in the medical field, we believed that we stopped making new brain cells. But now we know through a series of studies, especially with birds and with mice, that we are able to create new brain cells with stimulation, both brain exercise and physical exercise. So one concept that we really need to hit on is we always go back to anatomy, and the important take home with anatomy is the brain is being on its own, right? The only thing that compares to it is the heart. So with the brain, we understand that the main area that we're focusing on, or that really takes a hit from Alzheimer's, is the hippocampus. The hippocampus controls short and long-term memory, spatial navigation, and it's a seahorse-shaped anatomical structure that sits really in the center of the brain, just above the brainstem. If you're familiar with that, it's linked. It's not quite the amphibious brain that we've all interacted with. It's a little bit higher than that, but it's very basic in what we need to function in our daily lives. So what researchers found, and what's really important, is that as we age, if we don't keep this area stimulated, we actually get atrophy, which is the lessening in size of our structures, whether that's muscle typically, or in this case, the brain. So one thing that we wanted to clarify is, how does exercise keep us from seeing any early onset dementia or cognitive decline? And regular physical exercise can delay the onset up to 50%. And it's an excellent cure or prevention strategy, in fact, for any type of cognitive decline. Big Pharma hasn't even come up with a medical cure yet. We don't have a little pill. And we started this whole lecture when Carol gave it. She started everything off with that quote: if we could put exercise in a pill, we would take it, right? So we're seeing, the one way, and the good thing is, in at least my aspect of medicine, we're seeing a shift in this. We're seeing a much more greater appreciation for the Eastern style of medicine and a holistic aspect to medicine. A lot of people are not wanting to stay on these pills and be bogged down to a machine or these regimens. They want more of a peaceful existence, which is a foundational aspect of exercise. Up until really the post-industrial area, we were always movers, right? So our ancestors constantly hunter-gatherers we hear about, they were moving, they were, carrying, lifting, trying to get to their food. And really, since we came into the 20th century and started to develop machines, we've taken away that natural movement ability. So now we have a shift in the mindset. And after COVID-19, we're all even more probably sedentary than we were going into the pandemic, which we'll see how this goes down the road with medicine and longevity of individuals. But we know based on the research that Alzheimer's, we're living longer, so the likelihood of any dementia or cognitive decline is increasing. Physical exercise has been something that we kind of put on the back burner as a society, where, one of the prompts in our program was, well, do you exercise? And who was a role model for you exercising? And it was interesting because, we want everyone to be compliant. We want them to have that buy-in where it's not a taxing activity, where I have to go run, I have to do this exercise. We want it to be an innate part of their daily life to allow for a good quality of living as everyone ages. One other thing I wanted to talk about is the risk of not exercising. And clearly, we know what this looks like in our unhealthy individuals. We saw this with a lot of the comorbidities that we've been experiencing with as a result of the pandemic. Anyone with diabetes, anyone with heart conditions, anyone who's morbidly obese, they've seen a taxing load as it's related to this pandemic. And in addition to that, when we go back to that phrase, if you don't use it, you lose it. The hippocampus begins shrinking, especially as we get into early adulthood, but we really don't see that. We see, for example, I work with athletes and even non-athletes, and in exercise programs, if they take any time off as early as 3 days, we see the effects of detraining. Detraining is that simple concept: if you don't use it, you lose it. Well, this applies to our brain as well, but these onsets begin between the ages of 18 and 30, one study found, but we don't see this present until we're hitting our 50s. And then we start worrying about the patients that we interact with or our loved ones, because maybe they are aware of that cognitive decline, maybe they're not. And with the patients that I worked with while I was at All Care, it's a scary feeling losing that independence. You see athletes transition from their teens as they go from high school to college or from college to adulthood, and you lose that sense of identity. And the same thing here correlates with that idea of independence. I have to rely on someone else. I can't do something for myself, which is a big motivating factor for a lot of folks. So once we get to that age group, there's actually a really neat study that the Alzheimer's Research and Prevention Foundation found that tied in with a longitudinal study over 25 years, where 18 to 30-year-olds were asked what their TV viewing time was and how much time they spent doing that versus not, and actually engaging either in physical activity or moving or doing something where they weren't bogged down in mindless activity. And what they found was that poor cognitive performance was twice as high for subjects who scored lowest on activity and highest on TV viewing. So if that's not a motivating factor, I'm not sure what else could be. So we know that not only sedentary lifestyle stresses our body, it allows plaque to build up, and it actually makes it more taxing for our circulatory system to get nutrients where it needs to go. But in addition to that lack of atrophy, we see defects in posture and loads on the spine and how that interacts, loads on the pelvis. We see different types of conditions with that. But now we're seeing, and we have evidence to support that those are the causes for dementia, which, from my aspect was very exciting, and it makes it easier to communicate. One last thing I wanted to say about exercise and its prevention with dementia is it can be in any form, right? So Miriam made a comment about Carol's, anything that'll make you compliant, right? Anything that's going to keep you doing what you're doing. From my perspective, balance, gait training, proprioception, they've been probably, they're trendier now than they were when I first got into sports medicine, but it is imperative that we integrate that. And you can make it as simple as having someone stand on one leg and brush their teeth, or stand on one leg and try and clean or dust. Something as simple as doing a mini squat or a pistol squat. So balance and training can come for everybody. Was that one more minute or stop?
Yeah, one more minute if you want to wrap up.
Oh, okay. Well, so hopefully this presentation on exercise and its relation to Alzheimer's and dementia, especially in the aspect of prevention, was helpful for everyone, and I look forward to hearing everyone else.
All right.
Thank you all.
Good job. Thanks for going first, Taylor. Who wants to give Taylor some feedback?
Marianne, you're muted. Yep. Let's see. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. First of all, Taylor, I need to let you know that I'm just excited. I'm just excited about this whole program. Your enthusiasm has really gotten me again revved up. But I have been for a long, long time so interested in the brain and reading everything that I can possibly read about it and learn about it. Something that you said at the very beginning of your speak was, the idea of maybe 10 years ago, or I don't know how far back, it was people believed you had so many brain cells and that was it. And once you lost them, there was no coming back. And I've been telling my friends, and I'm retired. I'm in my 70s myself. And so I live in a community with a lot of retired, probably there's nobody younger than 55. I live in a 55 and older community. And I keep telling them, you have to move, you have to move, you have to use your brain. You have to, whether you want to or not, you have to. Your brain can regenerate cells. And they give me the poo-poo on that, but I'm so with you on that. And this whole program is so exciting for me. I've taken it into my yoga classes already, little bits at a time, so that you don't scare them off,
Exactly. And one thing I found when I was at All Care, my youngest patient was 45. Everyone else was significantly older. And one of my patients actually had early onset Parkinson's. And she had really low self-esteem. I was actually treating her husband for a back injury, and thank you so much for the compliments, but he goes, "You have so much energy, I think I need to bring my wife in." And so I said, the more the merrier, come on in.
Yeah.
She came in, and her Parkinson's had really, like we've talked about, the depression really makes once you go down that spiral, it's hard to come out. And
it's a big deal. It is a big deal when you're talking about your brain and how you function. It really is.
Well, and it's, go ahead, I'm sorry.
The socialization end of those, the 4 pillars is so crucial. I don't know how to express it to other than that, to the folks that come into I'm a yoga teacher, come into my yoga classes. You have to talk. You have to, even if it's your worst day, you have to get out there and be with people and express yourself.
Well, and I think, like we all said, you have to meet everyone where they are. What
Yes,
was the norm for someone who was in their 30s and the 50s is not the norm for today. I mean, and so there has to be an ebb and flow on how to communicate with one another as it relates to where we are today, and understanding that it's okay for things to change, that it's okay for things to evolve. And something as simple as maybe trying it a new way, or my favorite is coaxing someone into doing something without them knowing it.
Exactly. That's exact. I tease them into it. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, great. Nice.
Well done.
Nice presentation there, Taylor.
Thank you.
Who wants to go next?
Yeah. So I'll go since
Okay.
I took up the whole That's 10 minutes.
That's
So
okay.
I'm retired. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, and we moved out to Nevada. And when I prior to moving out, I'm a retired school teacher. I had been practicing yoga for probably 10 years and had gotten my yoga teaching certification and had been teaching back in Pennsylvania. So when I got out to Nevada, the whole community that I lived in, retired people. And so it was a hard go for me to start because there was already an established teacher there. But cutting to the chase, I brought in, started a chair yoga class in addition to the regular mat class. And those are the people that want to do this brain stuff. The more you tell them, the more they want, because they really know. And to get into the all the terminology with the brain, they don't care about it. All they know is, I want to be able to take care of myself. And when I just tell them about left, right brain and crossing the hemisphere and all that, they get so excited. Even though some of them, for the program that I put together for them to do, they can't do it the full length. Like if the wake up brain is supposed to be done for 3 minutes, they can only do it for 1 minute. And I tell them that's good. That's really good. Imagine what you're doing for your brain. And even after a minute of doing this, they have to take a rest, but they can feel it in their brain. They actually are sensing the awakening in the brain. So it's just, I don't know how to say it enough to the people that I live with, but I am slowly sneaking in Satanama. They think this is funny, and I say the words to them, and I keep the pace with them. What they're saying in their brains at the beginning, it was like they were rolling their eyes, but they feel it. They really feel it, and they come back. And when I can't have the class, they ask, "When are we doing it again? When are we doing it again?" It's not a cure-all, and that's the way I presented it to my class. It's not a cure-all, but it's better than drugs. And you will, if you practice with consistency, you will start to see and feel a difference. But incorporated with the actual yoga class, I nail in balance and proprioception. I don't use that word with them because they have no idea what it is, but I nail it. I bring it in. We do it, and I just can't bring enough people in. I can't talk enough about it. So for me, it's very exciting. And I told my husband we're going to start a practice together, even just he and I in our house, because he's even older than I am. And it's critical. It's critical, bottom line. So there I am. Thank you.
Nice. And again, just like Taylor, it's so great to hear the passion, right? Just how the belief. I mean, that's such a wonderful thing when you're teaching people with that kind of passion, that it makes them get excited about it and stuff. All right. Anybody else want to give some feedback to Marianne?
I really like the fact that you are so invested in this and bringing it so close to home and bringing it to your yoga classes, because we have to walk our talk.
Oh, we have to. Yes.
Walking your talk, you are demonstrating not only the benefits, but that it's doable to so many doubting minds. So that's impressive. It's not easy.
It is. It's very doable. And I think too, when you talk to younger people about it, it's a known fact. You have to exercise it, use it or lose it again. People know that. And younger people are much, much more active and involved physically, but they're still not there with keeping their brains active and just knowing the fact that you can ward off, those the plaque in the brain, and that the brain can grow. Just that fact alone for younger people is important to know.
Mhm. Definitely. Great. Who wants to go next? Melinda? Okay.
I'm kind of the goober that made a PowerPoint.
That's okay. Chelsea can give you permission to share it with the group. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what I love about this program is it encompasses everything from, working with one-on-one with a person to doing a presentation for 200 people, I mean, anything goes.
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking. My background, well, I'm Melinda. Nice to meet you guys. My background is I was a nurse for 14 years and I went to PA school, golly, almost 19 years ago. That talk about old brains. And I've done just about every kind of medicine, wilderness, occupational, family, aviation, ER is my primary. And this is something that really is important to me too, because I've dealt with this firsthand in my family, as well as with, a plethora of patients over the years. And right now I'm teaching at an osteopathic medical college. So one of the things that you were talking about, Taylor, was bring it to their level. And that's one of the things that I try to teach my students. We just had a small group yesterday about trying to read your patients or your audience and try to talk where they can understand it, right? So many times we make that mistake of trying to reel off the scientific facts. And just like with this vaccine, people are refusing to get vaccinated, and the vaccinated people are getting down on the people that refuse to get vaccinated. But so many of these people that don't want to get vaccinated, they don't understand the science of it. You do have that population that we just won't even talk about, but there is that population of people, just like with everything, with Alzheimer's, with everything, they don't understand how it works. So, and can I share? Do I go ahead and share now? And I was kind of in my, wait, where is it? I think, let me know if that works. I'm always messing up with my students because I'm kind of a Zoom goober. Okay, and since nutrition is such a dense topic and we don't have all day to talk about it, I'm just gonna pick apart one section of it, the standard American diet, because that's always been one of my huge pet peeves. And I am guilty myself of not walking my talk at times in my life. And I look back on some of the advice that I've given some of my patients over the years, and it makes me cringe to think, I was going by what was, what we were taught at the time. So, oh, wait, let me see if I can, how do I advance it? Oh, there we go. And since it's short, I only have one little objective: briefly discuss why the standard American diet is sad, because why the sad is sad. And this is just of the 4 pillars. I'm just going to emphasize diet, not supplements. I didn't mean to highlight that. Not enough time. But and to me, it is ironic. Why is the standard American diet is truly sad? I mean, this approach has been used since I was a kid, since Moby Dick was a sardine, right? That the standard American diet, get all your meat, get all your carbohydrates. And the bottom line is it's killing us. I mean, the standard American diet is killing us. And there is no healthy way around it. People say, well, we can modify it, but we can't modify that diet. There's a My Plate on the us.gov. They have a My Plate. And even if you do that, you're still getting saturated fats, you're getting unhealthy proteins. So there really is no way around this sad diet. And this is just something I found. I thought it was really interesting because this is perfectly fits my impression of what I envision is the standard American diet. Get your fruits and vegetables. Okay, let's get some Sun-Kissed, or snacks and crackers, Snickers and Skittles, yogurt. And if you think about all of the things that people like to substitute in these food groups, they are loaded with sugars and high fructose corn syrups and dyes and everything that's just going to destroy your brain and your body. I just found that really interesting. Plus, it's really colorful and I like colors. And this too, I don't know if you can read this, but this on a less colorful side, this is very eye-opening to me. If you think about, if you break down the standard American diet, 62% processed foods, because people don't realize how much oil and refined foods, and grains are in all the processed food. And a lot of people don't even understand what processed foods are. They think if they get a cracker, if it's a healthy gluten-free cracker, it's not processed, but guess what, it is. And they just don't understand that. And about 10% of that standard American diet is the unrefined plant foods, which is really sad. This is something that I found, and I think this is perfect. I think, if I had my way, I'd march up to Washington and I would demand a change and talk to the Nutrition Council, because this is what our diet should look like, with high fat whole foods used sparingly, and the vegetables and fruits. This is a colorful diet, and this colorful diet is worlds away from the previous slide of colorful diet, because these come from the earth and the other ones come from, I try to tell my patients, if what you're eating comes from a building or a manufacturing line, don't eat it. If you can grow it, catch it, then eat it. I don't mean catch it, but if you can grow it and I'm sorry, I'm having brain farts now, but if you can grow it, eat it. And this is really, so do the math. And this is just mind-blowing to me. I look at 8,000 teaspoons of sugar and I just picture, the Volkswagen in the old days where all the clowns would just keep running, piling out of it. That's how I picture 8,000 teaspoons of sugar just pouring out of our bodies. 200 pounds of meat. Ugh. And you think about what goes in those meats. So you can double that amount for grains, because that's what they're feeding the animals, is these unhealthy grains. 46 slices of pizza. Now, if that's a vegan pizza, I can go for it, but that's like sausage and cheese. And anyway, these numbers are just incredible. 79 pounds of fat. Think about taking 79 bags of 79 pounds and layering that on your body. That's pretty much what we're doing every year. And the sodas, and here's an example. It's not a brain health example, but it is an example of how damaging these are to our bodies. I had a patient when I worked for the military, and his cholesterol level, his HCl was off the chart. And he was in a danger zone. And I did a nutrition evaluation on him, and he was drinking like 6 Mountain Dews a day. And so we sat down and digested in his, no pun intended, his nutrition schedule. And I encouraged him, I said, just do this for yourself. Cut that Mountain Dew in half. You don't have to stop drinking it all at once. Just cut it in half. He cut it in half for 6 weeks. And when he came back to me, those levels were almost back to normal. And that's all it takes, is just little baby steps to influence and to encourage our patients, our friends, our peers, that this is not the healthy way. And that just, I'll reiterate that literally blows my mind that we consume that much. Now, here's some science to digest, yes, pun intended, that when we consume these high fat and high sugar foods, that they totally stress the body. And that's not just unhealthy people, that's everybody is affected with those types of foods. And when we eat those foods, we release these hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, and those help protect the body against what our curriculum said was the attack of these empty foods. And the hormones, a little bit about the hormones is that we have this in our sympathetic nervous system, we have a response, the fight or flight, right? And that's where our body releases the adrenaline and the cortisol, because that helps us deal in that time of danger. And that's a short period. That's just for short periods of time that those hormones are helpful. Now, if you introduce junk foods, high sugar, high fat, processed meats, dairies, when you do that on a regular basis, basically what you're doing is you're putting yourself in a state of fight or flight all the time. And you are stressing your body and your brain. And it leads to problems like oxidative stress, inflammation, and Alzheimer's. And here we go, alert the press. When you have chronic high sugar, high fat bodies, this is pretty much what I just said. You get these dangerously high levels that overload the body, and it opens the door for Alzheimer's, not to mention every other terrible disease that is out there. Did you guys know that nutritional deficiency, that diet and obesity are the #1 now in this country preventable cause of death? That just, again, blows my mind. Okay, can I just take a pill for this? This is what I get all the time. You know, can I have my pizza? Can you give me one of those little green pills? It helps that acid stuff. No, I'm not going to do that. And this was really interesting to me because I've seen this through the years as well. So many pharmaceutical companies, they have come up with treatment after treatment, the little pills that everybody wants. But there has not been one pill that has been effective in treating Alzheimer's or preventing Alzheimer's. And it breaks my heart to see all these patients just on a rapid decline, taking these costly medicines. And we don't know what those medicines are doing that might actually even potentiate Alzheimer's. Okay, sorry. So there is proven evidence that Alzheimer's can be prevented through nutrition and healthy lifestyle choices. So it's your choice. Would you choose a life of energy and brain health or a life of Dr. Pepper with a side order of Alzheimer's? And that's the end of that. Okay,
I like that way of ending it. All right. Who's got some feedback for Melinda?
Marianne, you are muted. You can go ahead too, Taylor.
I thought you did great. You could tell you were just a smidge nervous at first, but you're natural. And I love that you hit on nutrition and tied it into what you've seen in your clinical practice. I think that makes such a big difference as an educator when we are able to take examples, whether always, anytime you can have that personal touch makes a big difference. But when you can show that you've anecdotally seen the practice and seen the effects, I thought you did great. Very good job.
Thank you. Thank you. That's what I'm constantly telling my students. We give them those little stories so that they know it's real and it's not just, yes. Thank you.
And I like, can you hear me now?
Yes.
The idea of taking little steps too. If you tell someone or if somebody goes to the doctor and they say you have to cut this out, the initial response is nope, not going to do it. But if you say cut it in half, or if you just do half of this, you'll see an improvement. People are more willing to accept.
You know, I've had patients who can quit heroin, but there are two things that I've had patients that it's like beating a brick wall is nutrition and cigarettes. I've had patients quit heroin, but they want to keep smoking. And you try to tell somebody, you know, try to just leave the cheese off of your Subway sandwich. Nope, I got to have that. I got to have the cream in my coffee. So it's just little baby steps.
Little steps, right.
Yeah, definitely. Well, great. All right. So Miriam, you all ready? You're next. Okay.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Miriam. I wrote out what I wanted to say today so that I could kind of stay on topic. I don't have any slides or anything to present. So also, I just started working with 2 screens, an extra monitor. So if I go into this place where I look lost, I'm probably looking for my mouse or just got confused. So I'm still getting used to that. So just letting you know. Okay. So I'm really excited to be here with all of you today. I'm going to start with a little background about myself and how I found my way to the program. I'm going to highlight some of the main topics of what I've learned and how I plan to focus my programming going forward. Okay. So I began my journey within in 1998. At the time, I was studying at the Muscular Therapy Institute in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which I completed the program in 1999. So also during this time, I began taking yoga classes at the nearby Iyengar Yoga Studio in Somerville. So I finally was turning within and learning about myself. And I felt so excited and empowered that I continued to seek out new teachers and try different styles as I started my work as a muscular therapist. So I first became certified to teach Hatha Yoga in 2002 on the Big Island of Hawaii. I was working as a muscular therapist and began to teach yoga. During this time, I also completed my Bachelor of Science in Communication at the University of Hawaii. I discovered Kundalini Yoga in 2003 and became a certified Kundalini Yoga teacher in 2012 in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And I've been teaching full-time ever since. I made my way to West Palm Beach in 2016 and continued to teach and create a new network for myself. And then in 2020, everything changed, like completely. So I found my way back now. Here I am in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and I began my journey in how do I teach online? Because that's what I do, that's what I love, and everything's changed. So it's been interesting that every step I take, there's this big learning curve. Oh, learn how to edit audio, recordings, all these different things. But at the same time, it's kind of been a fun journey. So I decided to focus my programming on Kirtan Kriya. It's one of my favorite meditations that I often use with beginners. And it's one that I've been practicing for a long time, and it really helps. I found, especially in this last year, when there was just so many feelings of vulnerability and unpredictability and fear, and just everything was so different, that it became an anchor for me to ground some of that energy so I didn't just get carried away in the waves of outrage around me. So it's been a long time dream of mine to create my own version of Kirtan Kriya, an audio recording. And I finally made that dream come true this summer. I worked with a sound engineer and made my own version. So that was a big step in me creating my online programming. So I'm working on creating online programming, focusing on Kirtan Kriya, including some basic breath exercises, gentle warm-ups, things for just general stress relief. So in this process of research, I found the ARPF website and this training course. I was like, this is exactly what I want to do. And I was really excited about it. I signed up immediately and just went right through the course and found it very, very enlightening. The first thing that I really appreciated about the course was this attitude of it's never too late and it's never too soon. So despite the dire statistics of what we're seeing and what the trends are showing what could happen, we have some legitimate science to show us these things that can help us turn the tide in our own favor. So just a couple of brief things that I really understand more deeply from this training. I understand about neurogenesis and how we can form new brain cells, neuroplasticity, what the changes in the brain cells, the connections between the brain cells, neurotransmission, how the brain cells communicate, and about the DNA and how the shortened telomeres affect the brain aging. And so by understanding the systems, the conditions, and the risk factors that accelerate cognitive decline, we can see from the research about the 4 pillars: lifestyle, diet and brain-specific nutrients, stress management with yoga and meditation, physical and mental exercise, and spiritual fitness. This offers us many intervention points to prevent this cognitive decline, which could lead to dementia or Alzheimer's disease. And I was especially interested in all of the science behind Kirtan Kriya. I really appreciate this complexity and depth even more now. I especially appreciated the study which showed the increase of telomerase by 43%, the largest amount ever recorded. Of how Kirtan Kriya enhances the cerebral blood flow, how it affects memory loss, and how the brain scans showed the activity in the frontal lobe activity and some of the other brain areas, so that we can really see how this meditation is affecting the body, how it really affects our whole brain. So I already had a little bit of an understanding from my experience of the chanting, the moving of the tongue, how we stimulate the 84 meridian points in the mouth, which stimulate the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland and the brain. And then also through the movement of the fingers, the nerve endings in the fingertips, the lips, and the tongue also help to stimulate the motor and sensory areas of the brain. Also understanding how the visualization of seeing the energy come through the top of the head in an L formation and come out helps to stimulate the occipital lobe, both so stimulating vision on both a physical and a spiritual level. And then just some of the basic benefits that these studies have shown practicing Kirtan Kriya: enhancing cognitive function, less stress, decreasing depression, improving genetic health, reducing the inflammatory markers, better sleep, lower blood pressure, all of these things which can be risk factors for cognitive decline and other conditions. So I'm really excited that the modern research, it reveals and it shows that our lifestyle activity can promote cognitive health and aging, and also protect against these risk factors and the beta amyloid pathology, which can lead to Alzheimer's disease. So as I continue to teach my online classes, I am currently developing programming. This will include an online course that one can do at home, and it will include breath awareness exercises, gentle warm-ups, and will be a guide to establishing a daily Kirtan Kriya practice. I'm also planning on offering live Zoom sessions so we can all get together, and kind of my motto is, let's practice together, right? Let's just do it together. I'm going to do it with you. I do it. I love it. Let's do it together. So I love working with seniors. And over the past few years, I've gotten to work with quite a few seniors. And in fact, I'm living at home now with my parents. And we are doing Kirtan Kriya together and incorporating these 4 pillars into our lifestyle. I've also done some chair yoga training, and we'll be using this style of teaching a lot in the content directly for the seniors. The other aspect that I'm really interested in, which affects me personally, is I was a little bit shocked when I encountered the chapter about women my age. I'm perimenopausal, so I'm sort of in that change. I'm in beginning that shift and reading about how it really is such a crucial turning point, and how a lot of women in my age group are also doing a lot of caretaking. So already we can see these risk factors are there. How can we implement these kind of practices, Kirtan Kriya, the diet, the exercise, into our lives now so that we can really enhance our mental and physical awareness rather than just give in to the inevitable decline, which is not inevitable, okay? So all that being said, I'm really excited to be affiliated with the ARPF, and I look forward to this future collaboration. I've really been on my own in this journey of teaching online, and I'm feeling very encouraged to be part of a community that is based in science and research and medicine, as well as yoga and meditation. So I'm going to keep on going and take it one step at a time, and look forward to seeing what happens. So
Great.
That's that. And now I don't know if I have any time left, or if you guys are even interested in hearing a little sample of my recording that I made. You can hear what it sounds like or not. It's up to you guys.
We probably have a minute if you want to just do a little bit for
like
us.
a little 30-second preview, because I actually appreciate all the feedback I can get, because
Sure. Yeah, Chelsea, you can give her permission to share.
I do have it all queued up actually. So, all right, here we go. I'm just going to share my sound. Turn it up. So I'm just going to play the beginning so you can kind of get the gist of it. And I hope the volume's not too loud. Skip ahead, it goes into the whisper. And then also continues on through the silent portions, and then whisper. my goal was really to make this as a meditative tool and not really be a musical performance. And so far, my feedback I've gotten from my students in my own practice has been positive. I'm going to just stop that now. All right.
Cool. Is that your voice?
Yeah, that's me.
Awesome.
So it was really an interesting process in working with the sound engineer because he's a musician. And then we were working on it and he said, wait, this is totally different. And he really enjoyed it and is now practicing Kirtan Kriya. So it was an interesting overlap. And then we're going to work together on some other breath meditations and things. So it's really interesting how sometimes people have no idea what's out there and then you introduce it to them and they're like, this is so cool.
That's great. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Anybody else have feedback for Miriam?
I think that was really good. I really enjoyed that last 30 seconds. That was very relaxing, and even in 30 seconds. I do have one question for you. Are those singing bowls behind you?
Yes, they are. I have a whole set over here.
Oh my gosh, those are beautiful.
And you know, I've been working on incorporating them. Sometimes they sound great, and sometimes, depending on the noise cancellation of Zoom, it can sound like the worst feedback ever. See, that's the heart chakra. Again, I'm not sure how it's translating. It sounds great on my end.
Like a banjolele.
No, sounds much better than that.
Oh, well, good job, everybody. Wow, this was so exciting just to see everybody's enthusiasm, and everybody kind of came from a different aspect, but how we can take this information and share it with others. Good job.
Yeah, thank you guys. I'll let you go. I just want to give you a few announcements. You all now have your Yoga Alliance hours, so that's all good. Please let me know if I need to include any credentials on your certificates, because I'll send those to you in a little bit. You know, the official ARPF ones. If you log into arpf.com, you'll see all your member benefits. I'm about to activate that for you as well. We've got marketing materials there for you. You'll get access to our webinars, all that. So definitely check that out. In the original email I sent you that says like congratulations for finishing, you'll see a link. We gift you the KK meditation. So if you don't have your own version of it, feel free to use ours. We hope that you practice and enjoy that. And lastly, so we have an event next month. So every month our graduates come together, just a handful of them, and we'll do a session. So last month we did Drums Alive, which is you know, they're offering it to seniors now. They offer it to children, but it's a fun way for mental and physical stimulation. You know, it's really fun. This coming month, September, we are going to be doing acupressure techniques. So basically, how do we think of a memory that stresses us out? How do we sort of deal with that, and little things we can do? So that will be pretty cool. And these are always led by our graduates. So if there's anything you want to share with us, please let us know. If you want to, you know, Miriam, if you want to lead a KK chanting meditation for us with your song, let's do it, you know. So the floor is totally open. Every month is different. And so I hope you guys will come. And then in September, we'll be having our next webinar, which you get to sign up for free. So you'll get more information about that coming out. Otherwise, that's a wrap. Cool.
Thanks, everybody.
So much. Appreciate that. Enjoy meeting you guys.
You too.
Great to meet everybody, and look forward to seeing you again sometime soon in the Sky Temple.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Bye. Thank you.
Take care,
Bye.
everyone.